Hello, morning from wherever you're joining us from. It's a pleasure to connect today. My name is Amos. I'll be the one doing the walkthrough today. Joined by some of our team members. I think Brandon, Annette, if you could just do a quick hi as we probably give a second to the rest of the team who are joining. Brandon, over to you.
Hi everyone. As Amos has mentioned, I'm Brandon.
Fantastic.
Happy to join here.
Hi everyone, my name is Annette. I'm from Sibasi and I'm in the marketing department.
Fantastic. And it's a pleasure connecting. I see familiar names. So probably as we are just giving a minute to the rest of the team to join, let me just launch a quick poll just to get to know, what we need to focus on for today, because there's a lot that we can go through when it comes to Copilot. But just, I think as a quick question, where just wanted to get an idea of where your organization is in the Copilot journey. Are you evaluating? Have you procured licenses for Copilot and not rolled out? Are you piloting with a small group, or you've actually, rolled it out broadly? Just as a quick poll, let's see how we are responding. Great, rolled out broadly, about 50% rolled out broadly, and still evaluating or haven't started. That's 50-50%. Excellent. Right. Fantastic. It's great to connect today. So as we probably have the rest of the team joining, so what we are hoping to do today is just a practical guide to the Copilot adoption, and we'll get to show you some of the tools that you might want to utilize within your organization for Copilot adoption, but also highlight, what if you're already using Copilot, what are some of the benefits. The items that you can go through when it comes to Copilot are a lot. It's a very broad list of functionality that is possible. And depending on the team that you actually work in, we might find some work much more better than others in your particular scenario. For us to go through all the tools in a bit more detail is quite a detailed training. But what we are doing is just high-level sensitization today on how you can you can adopt Copilot from an individual perspective, but also from an organizational perspective. So a bit of housekeeping. The session is actually being recorded, and as soon as our team from the marketing department just put this together, you should receive the recording as well as the deck in your mailbox. Also, you feel free to ask any questions that you may have. And our team, that's why we have Brandon and Annette in the background, just looking at the questions, and they'll stop me if there's an item that you might want us to more or less explore further or explain in a much more detail. We had set the session to be for about 1.5 hours. What we hope is that in the first hour, we'll do a lot of the deep dive into where do you get materials, what Copilot, what are the benefits you get with Copilot. And then later on, we'll have a proper, walkthrough of any questions and specific areas that you'd want us to highlight further or explain further. But feel free to raise the questions as we're moving on. Brandon will stop me at any point if need be to explain or get back to something that we are showcasing as an example. So one of the things that we have been talking about in 2026 is that, through research, it has been shown that 80% of the global workers have agreed that you do not have enough time to do everything. Sometimes finding information becomes a bit of a challenge, and that also drains your energy when you're trying to just figure out where to get certain information that you need. And on another side, 53% of leaders agree that productivity should definitely increase. And that's where, from what we've seen in the last couple of years is that Copilot and these AI tools have come to actually empower us as individuals and in our day-to-day kind of work, where it empowers us in being able to actually communicate, being able to actually prepare, if it is drafting of your emails and getting the, AI to assist in making sure that, you're drafting in the right way. On another front, what we see in 2026 that is coming on very strong is a concept that we call agents. In fact, when we were looking at just the evolution of this of the organizational automations. Before 2023, we were mostly just using our own intellectual capacity to find information, to prepare for presentations and engage with various teams. But between 2023 and 2025, we've seen a lot of adoption on Copilot, and of course, many of the other AI tools that are out there. And what you're seeing in 2026 as a key aspect that organizations might benefit from is the concept of what we call agents. And I'll get to explain what agents are shortly. Joel Ramjon mentioned that Copilot is really a force multiplier. AI can do a lot of the heavy lifting so that we as human beings don't fall in between the cracks. And I'll get to showcase a quick high-level example of some of the challenges that we were facing internally when we were trying to get certain processes that require either manual input from different individuals. And through AI, we've been able to automate most of these processes such that whether it is a team that does the heavy lifting when it comes to coding or just the knowledge workers who prepare back office engagements, and just making sure that, for example, our engagement with all our customers, our engagement with all our various teams has become really much more efficient. So I mentioned that these word agents, and I know not all of us might be familiar with what agents are, but basically agents get to automate various processes, either working alongside us as human beings, or even being able to actually do, all the use cases, doing an entire process end to end. And that's what we call the autonomous kind of an agent. So it starts off from just simple things. You receive, if you are in the purchasing team, then you receive an invoice from your vendor. Then the process of actually retrieving the details of that invoice, what did you procure, confirming that those details, that can be just as simple as just retrieval of information. But also you can tell it to have a task where it goes and creates certain, like if you're using Dynamics Business Central or any other ERP, that go and create this particular task for somebody to review and approve. Or alternatively, you go to the next level where you say that the agent works autonomously because you know that the entire process is handled in a particular way, and the agent now works behind the scenes, and this is more of the advanced capabilities of what agents can be able to do. So when you're looking at an autonomous agent, I think as a good example, you might be having a scenario where when an email is received in your inbox, the agent already has instructions about what to do. So in our case, for example, when we have a support request, when we have certain engagements that we're having with our clients, we have these agents that assist in picking that particular item. And then through certain instructions, whether it is to actually log it within our support system, sending out autonomous emails directly back to the person who sent the request, or even being able to direct this internally to the right person who needs to actually action so that they are able to actually pick it up. And just taking out the entire process where you need a human being to evaluate all incoming, for us, for example, you write to support@sibasi.ltd, all the requests that come in for support land in one mailbox. And just having these autonomous capabilities has helped us, in terms of saving time, in terms of just redirecting these questions to the right team very quickly without the need of actually a human being being in between and making sure. So our response times has definitely gone up. And what we want to probably highlight is that With the agents, you might want to look at those that are user-led, and user-led is where the agent does an activity, and then you are able to actually advise it what actually happens. But also within the entire organization, you can be able to apply and deploy this particular set of agents that can assist the entire organization in automating certain processes. So as we go into this particular aspect where we talk about frontier farms, and I think all the teams and the individuals that are joining this call today, you are probably engaging and trying to see how to become a frontier farm, whether it is in the nonprofit sector, you want to achieve impact, or in the commercial sector, you would want to achieve higher profits. Then in this case, within a frontier farm, we are looking at delivering more effectively, looking at also better stakeholder engagement, and how do you increase your operational efficiency. So this is the basis of all the conversations that we as Sibasi are having, during this 2026 start, and mainly around, in the next particular item that is the core of this conversation, how do we then get to adopt Copilot? I think I'll post there and just put a quick poll just to get an idea about where, how the representation is across the board for all the various teams. So just to get a quick feedback is basically a question that asks, which department do you think would benefit from Copilot in your particular organization? And just to see how we perceive the use of Copilot and the AI tools within your organizations. Let's just give it a second just to see the feedback on this. Zero responses yet. IT, yes, IT definitely. That's a good one. IT, okay. IT sales or customer facing teams. I think if you're in the nonprofit sector, then it might be, you interact with your, whether it is your donors or you're interacting with, the teams that are involved in, your day-to-day projects management. All right, fantastic, and great to see the feedback on this. Yeah, so looking at Copilot within the Microsoft ecosystem, we see Copilot as the UI or the interface that you use to access the various models that are available. So whether we are looking at, and Copilot, has a number of models that run behind the scenes. I think we're all familiar with the ChatGPT 5, and that is the basic agent, the background that actually runs Copilot. And Copilot has quite a number of items that would be what we call the Copilot wows, whether it is being able to just do what we call chat, or when you need to do some deep research, or you have some data around, whether it is your customers' engagement data, or if it is, how your expenditure actually has been moving. And the best part about some of these, like the analysts, is that we are able to actually pull in data from various systems, and you're able to quickly ask questions or give it a prompt, and then you are able to actually get feedback, whether it is in charts and in a form that you can be able to make decisions quite quickly. Then there is the researcher where you need to do deep research. There is Copilot that comes in Microsoft Teams. There is notebooks when you are working with various teams and you need to think through various processes. But the other one being around search. And considering that all of these are capabilities within Copilot, then today we want to more or less try and focus on chat agents and IT control. So as probably we at this particular step, one of the key questions we always get, and I know it's one of the items that we are probably going to be looking at a little bit later, is what's the difference between the Copilot chat and Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot. I'll want to just quickly see if I can show you the key differences in terms of from the system before we go back to the deck to go deeper into the specific domains and the specific areas. So allow me to just quickly pick one of the tabs that I have. Yes, so this account that I've logged in with, it's our training account, and we use it more or less when we want to showcase how, various aspects, or we want to train on the various capabilities about, and not just AI, but basically about Microsoft 365. So within this, you'll notice that first here it says that this is basic, and as much as I have, various capabilities that are available here, when I pick, let me just open the other one and get to show you. This is a different, now the one that has the Copilot premium. And in this particular account, then I get additional capabilities, whether it is the researcher, the analyst, the ones that I've just mentioned in the earlier slide. So I'm able to actually see, additional capabilities beyond what comes out of box with the basic Copilot. So let's start off with some items that I wanted to quickly highlight about, when it comes to Copilot, and how do you, empower your team to be able to work with the Copilot. So when you are using the one that is just basic, if this is what you have available, there are various capabilities that already come out of box. Of course, there is the first bit where you can do the Copilot chat, give it a prompt, say that I'm preparing for a webinar on Copilot, Copilot adoption. Give me talking points. And the standard, I'll get to highlight at a later point, some of the things that you might want to consider when, you're creating the prompt, as such as giving, context about what it is all about. And the moment I just give it the prompt, then it gives me some feedback and some data. But you see, at this particular point, it's just giving me feedback. So I may not, I need to still work on PowerPoint deck. So I'll need to still copy this. And of course, there's other capabilities when you're doing the internal engagement about, what do you get with these particular items, then you are able to actually train the team that you are, Copilot. One of the key advantages, besides using ChatGPT or Gemini, is that it can use your work content. And when it's using your work content, then your information sits within your particular organization. We say that is one of the biggest advantages of actually using Copilot. So you can pick a document, upload a document, and all of it sits within your organization. But as I've said, this is pretty nice, and yes, I can be able to have an outline of the deck, but sometimes you want to actually go to the next level of creating the deck really quickly. And if you're using SharePoint as an intranet or as a document management, and you've configured certain templates, then you can be able to actually generate the actual deck in an easy way. And I'll get to show you shortly that particular aspect of the Copilot Premium and what are the benefits of actually upgrading to Copilot Premium. But while we're still here, the other key things that you can be able to do within our organization, we have this proposal drafting agent. We've published it, and it's available to everybody within our team. So when we receive TORs and RFPs, then we give the agent, and it already has training in terms of how does it go ahead to actually prepare the particular proposal. And we have Zebra. This is an early on adoption that we had, when we were trying to look at bringing in Copilot capabilities within our document management, and we were trying to see how can we assist various teams that do a lot of research and do a lot of using internal information and certain sources that for the various systems that we support, so that quickly everybody can get information quickly. So these are agents that have been published organization-wide, and they are available to everybody within our organization. As I said, you can roll these out within your organization, or you can even have a scenario where you set up your own personal agent that can do something very specific for your particular use case. Another bit that I've mentioned about Copilot, it comes in with chat, which we are looking at. Finding information has always been one of those big questions. How can we quickly find information so that, we are able to make decisions, or we can be able to respond quickly? Then that comes in on this particular aspect of the search. Then the library basically just allows you to have the history various engagements that, and when you create these pages, I think one of the things, if you've not checked it out, you need to more or less look at this, because then this you can be able to actually share with other team members. And when especially you want to, you're doing some research and you want to put together, some information so that you can be able to engage with your various teams. So as I've mentioned, if you are you're using the basic Copilot, a lot of the capabilities come out of box. Yesterday, actually, we were celebrating SharePoint being 25 years. And there are some very interesting capabilities that are coming in SharePoint. I think if you're a tenant, you've already enabled what we called preview. Then there's some very interesting things that you can do with agents on SharePoint. And that now, including some other capabilities, do not come with the basics. So let's more or less switch to the other one, the one that is now on premium. So besides the researcher and analyst, as I've mentioned, I'm keen about us having enough time to go through quite a lot of things around what to do when you want to help, your organization to adopt. So I'll not go into the nitty-gritties of just showing you what are the capabilities. I think one of the items that I'd want to quickly highlight is one capability when you go to your OneDrive. If you have Copilot Premium, let me just confirm I'm in the right account, yes. If you have Copilot Premium, then it allows you to actually, have this capability where within OneDrive, and also let me just open PowerPoint. And as I'm doing this, probably, Brandon, if you could just tell me if there's any immediate question or something that you think that I need to highlight within the Q&A. Probably I'm opening these particular items. Brandon?
There's none at the moment.
Okay, fantastic. So I want to highlight, I think, in two particular factions. One is within the OneDrive aspect. Let me just say, got it. So within OneDrive, if you have the Copilot Pro license, you get this, and you also get, when you hover over the particular files, you get this particular aspect of, do I call it the Copilot button? With this button, you're able to do a number of things. So let me just, I'll dismiss that. And then I'll go and say, of course, the standard thing is you may want to summarize a file. So I can select summarize. Alternatively, I can go and say that I want to create an FAQ from that particular document. But this is something that I find quite fancy. Let me just confirm if I shared, allow me to reshare the screen with sound. Don't know whether that, let me just include sound. So if you can see this, just let me know if the screen has come up. Somebody please confirm. Brandon, Annette.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So you can go to actually say, I want to, let me just select that again. Oh, it's doing it. So basically what this does, and that particular audio player, what it does is that it reads through your document, and then tries to come up with a summary of the particular document. So then you are able to actually get an audio output of the particular document. And I see this quite handy when we are preparing for meetings, and you want to make sure that you want to get all the information. You're probably driving, or you're in a scenario where reading an entire document might take up.
Hello, and welcome to this comprehensive audio summary of the agreement for consultancy services between financial sector.
I'll post it at that particular aspect. And basically what it's doing is that it's reading through the document and then gets to just read out in a summarized form, the details about what that document is all about. On another front, I can be able to actually go and say, I want to change this to a podcast style. If this is one of the earlier capabilities I think we found very interesting on Gemini. And right now, not right now, actually it has been within Copilot since last year. We've been using this quite a lot. And basically being able to even switch to podcast style, where now it's almost like two individuals that are discussing. So this is just one aspect of capabilities that you get with Copilot Premium. Within the same account, as I mentioned, there's, I want to prepare the deck. And I could use actually the same prompt. It wasn't the best prompt in the world, but let me just copy it. Let me see if it is loading. Just refresh. Giving it a second. Take that. So this is more or less the history, the one that I just said that I'm preparing for the webinar. So I'll just use the same prompt and just to showcase this particular aspect. So I want to create a presentation. So when I say create a new presentation, it allows me now to give the particular prompt. But besides that, then I can come in and even tell it that I want you to use certain files. I want to use the provision of intranet support. It doesn't apply, I think, in this particular case. But basically, if I have some research that I'd already done, I can be able to give that particular set of documents. And then when I give it, not give me talking points, generate the proposal. And then I say generate. And what it does is that, in most cases, sometimes, you do not have a lot of time to do the presentation, there's research and all these other things. So with the Copilot premium license, then you get some of these interesting capabilities where it's not just about a chat where you can ask questions, but basically you are able to actually use, various templates. Or if your organization uses, as I mentioned, Dynamics, you're using SharePoint as your document management or your intranet, most likely you have this particular aspect. Like in our case, our decks, you'll find that they have a very consistent way of how we present. Then you are able to actually set that up, and it assists, in terms of preparation. And I'll just use, let me just use suggested. It will generate as basic as possible, mainly because of time and just so that we're able to see what is a particular output. These are just two capabilities of what you get with Copilot Premium. Besides what, for Copilot Basic, you still get the Copilot within your PowerPoint. You can ask questions, you can, and it uses internal information to assist you, in finding information. But if you want to be able to generate, PowerPoints, or you want to be able to generate reports on your Microsoft Word, or you want to analyze your Excel data, then that's where now Copilot Premium more or less shines. Unless there's any immediate question as this is working, I'd want to go back to the slides just to take you through now in finer detail what are the capabilities and what you would expect. And probably I'll also post there. I don't know whether there's any immediate question about what I was just showcasing, the differences or how these two more or less work together. I'll just take a quick pause just to see if there's any immediate question. If not, fantastic. Let me go back to the slides. So within Copilot chat, so I've mentioned that there are a number of capabilities. So there's chat, where you can be able to use internal data that is loaded on in your organization. If you're not, and this is a big aspect that you need to probably consider, if in your organization you're not either using SharePoint, where it means every individual uploads their documents on OneDrive and then you share, with other people, as per need. Then one of the things that you need to notice is that when somebody uses chat and asks a question, as much as it uses, your work information, it respects the boundaries. So if somebody does not have access to a certain folder or a certain document, then that they will never get information relating to that particular document in their chat. So it's a good aspect in terms of governance, in terms of security. But then there's another aspect. So if your teams, for example, collaborate, you're working on a project together, You have the team that is uploading documents, the report of the beneficiaries, but they are uploading to their personal OneDrive, and you're sitting in the executive office and you want to get the update about what the team has been doing. When you're using chat, then it will only answer based on information that you have access to. And that's where now you need to probably look at the underlying data and where it sits, because that plays a big part in terms of how you get to get the productivity when it comes to the AI capabilities, not just chat, but also when you need to search for information. I've mentioned something around agents. There are those that come inbuilt within Microsoft 365, but also you can be able to use notebooks when you're doing research, and you can be able to generate videos, generate images using this particular Copilot Create, and you'll see it within Copilot when you go to MicrosoftOffice.com or Microsoft 365. That becomes your landing page. The advantage that we had when Microsoft now put this as a main landing page, and just going back to this particular scenario, we had a scenario where within organizations, when somebody goes to office.com, the first place that they would land is either your Outlook, and helping people to be able to find, these tools such as the AI capabilities was a bit of a challenge. So when Microsoft actually made this available by default, when you just go to office.com, this becomes your landing page, and then you are able to navigate to the other apps from there. Then it makes it easy as a first part of everybody just seeing this. This is a first default view, and therefore when it comes to looking at the various capabilities and everybody being able to find, what are the capabilities of what you can do with the Copilot, then they are able to find that using this. One of the other bits that I'd want to dive a little bit deeper is that when it comes to chat, it uses your work information, and it's because it uses your work information, then it's able to bring you high quality responses that are contextual within your particular organization. And you can also be able to collaborate. As I mentioned, there is the Copilot pages where you can be able to publish a page and share it with specific people. So as you are conversing with the AI, and it's able to, the other team members are also, seeing exactly what you're seeing as you're working on either a report or doing some research. The other key aspect is search. And searching, being able to find by specific information, being able to ask questions, and then it goes and finds the right document. But as I've mentioned, one of the key aspects, because of governance and security, you need to consider how is your information organized within your organization and who has access to what, because then that plays a big part in terms of being able to actually find, use this search comprehensively. Something that I mentioned was around how do you get to write a prompt that actually is able to help the AIs assist you to work much faster. So the first bit is around, being able to tell Copilot exactly what is our end goal. What are we trying to do? Are we trying to analyze some information? What do we need to achieve at the end of the day? Then the other aspect is being able to actually give context. What information should we consider? If there are any specific sources, for example, you need to attach a particular document, then you get to, I've shown you that, you can be able to select that there's this particular this particular document that I'd want to use to generate a PowerPoint presentation. And what would be the best case scenario? What would help if Copilot does this as an excellent job? How would it? What kind of response will meet your particular expectations? Now, these are very high level explanations, and when we do a deep dive into adoption, then we actually get to look at how do you actually, and we show in examples. So whether it is you're working with various teams, such as in the marketing team. So this is how you get to achieve, whether you want to generate videos or you want to generate a PowerPoint presentation. This is how you actually use this 4-step process to be able to get the best prompts, the best output out of AI. I'll skip this. This is about search, and from what I've mentioned, it is able to use internal information and give you authoritative results, and you can be able to actually schedule and basically save your prompts, especially when you want it to be able to you want to reuse these particular similar prompts. Now, when using Copilot Chat, especially when you're using the analyst, you're able to actually, say that, for example, create a pie chart giving me information about market on what and so forth. And since we are going to send you these slides, I hope, especially the next one, which is around what kind of prompts you can get to try, and how do you, see one optimization of the prompt so that you're able to get the best out of these particular AI tools. When you get the deck, you should watch this particular video. It has some interesting insights around what you can be able to achieve. Now, when it comes to agents, I've mentioned that Microsoft already pre-built quite a number of agents, but also, like in our case, we needed to be able to prepare. It's something that we do a lot when we are preparing responses for proposals. You'll see, like in that particular account that I was showcasing, there was a proposal that was an output as a Word document, and this was initiated from just purely using the agents. And basically, you can use some of the agents that come out of box. So if it is about, if you go to just the agents, you can say add, and you'll see that built by Microsoft. But you can also extend and create agents that assist you in doing very specific tasks. If you'd want us to go into a bit deep dive into agents, whether it is agents within your ERP or agents within your Copilot Studio or a particular use case, just reach out to us, I think, when we get to the feedback section, and we'll be happy to actually get to do a scenario or a showcase of how you can then set up your own agent that will be able to achieve particular results that you need. Then I've mentioned this around the key agents. I'd want to highlight this one called the Facilitator. So if you have Copilot Pro, and I'll use that account that I was using to showcase. So it did the generation. Since I didn't give it the template, it just picked and generated, I think, all the decks if I like it, and then I say keep it. But this is fine. And of course, if I go back to my OneDrive, let me just refresh this. I think I didn't rename the slide. It's just called presentation. So this is the same one. So it basically saves it in my OneDrive, and I can be able to share it with other team members, update it, and change, of course, with Designer, which is part of Copilot. You are able to even change certain presentations. I've used this a lot when we are trying to present certain aspects, and you probably need these to be changed in a particular way. Then you can use the Designer to get to do some fancy things, putting some nice images and so forth. I won't go deep into that. I wanted to show you something very interesting that Facilitator more or less does. So if I go to Teams, and you'll notice that now I'm using the Copilot Premium. Copilot Chat, you may not be having the Facilitator. And also the interpreter is very, very fancy. When you're on a call like this, as I'm speaking in English, it can be able to actually interpret into local languages. We can get to showcase that if you'd want to see a little bit more about how that more or less looks like. Okay, so while this is opening, I'll get back to it so that we can have a bit more time. I'll get back to it when it opens. And then the agent store. Then there's the Copilot Studio, and Copilot Studio allows, within the organizational perspective, I mentioned that there's a user being able to set up your own personal agent and a personal assistant. And then there is at the organizational level where you set up an agent that then you publish and make available to everybody within the team. And then the last one that I'd want to highlight as a wow aspect that you might want to consider is the notebooks. I've highlighted that this one you mainly use when you are doing some research and you're doing, you are adding more prompts, and then it's generating something, and then you're continuously adding more information relating to, whether it is a project or something that you're doing, that is consolidated. That being said, I'd want to quickly highlight the two use cases. So between Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat, what do you get, and then the Microsoft 365 Copilot. As I'm starting on this, the retail price is $30 per user per month. But we are able to actually get you discounts on this, so you can reach out to us with the special opportunities to actually get whether bundled with your Microsoft 365 or as a standalone solution. We are able to get you some discounts on that particular price as a partner. But getting into the four main areas or use cases that you might see. So when you're looking at Copilot, if it is going to use the only bit that you don't get with Copilot Chat is being able to use third-party graph connectors. Basically, if you're using, I'm trying to think about a CRM tool that is outside of the Microsoft ecosystem. Any that comes to mind, Brandon, Annette? So if you're using Oracle or any of the other tools, so Microsoft based, none is coming to mind. But basically, if you're using any of the third-party tools and you'd want to connect these, then that is the only capability that you don't get when it comes to chat. But when it goes to the agents that you are able to do with Copilot Studio, the ones that are around SharePoint, some of the capabilities you can get with just the free one. But you're also able to create custom agents using the Copilot Studio. And Copilot Studio is built in a different way at the organizational level. Then, as a personal assistant, the capabilities that I've talked about, whether it is being able to work with Copilot in Excel, using Python and so forth to visualize and analyze your data or ask questions, and then it's able to actually look at where your data might be having issues and then give you some feedback on what you can do. Or if you're looking at PowerPoint and being able to actually generate like what I was showcasing, or you're looking at the Teams, the one where you're able to do a recap, or you're able to do the facilitator that is able to tell you, your meeting is almost over, it is recording your minutes and doing all these other capabilities. These capabilities that we call personal assistant are only available with Microsoft 365 Copilot Premium. And then there's a Copilot system control. This is around enterprise security, where you want to make sure, and I think on Thursday, my colleague Gift will be going into finer details about how to secure, your Copilot. You don't have a scenario where somebody asks Copilot for information about the team, and then, information around the HR or, payroll and so forth gets to be seen by everybody within the organization. And you might want to join that session if you are interested in seeing how things to do with security and enterprise data protection actually are handled. That being said, all the information that is done within Microsoft 365 Copilot is not used for training any of the models by Microsoft. And that in itself is one of the core aspects of why we think that, when you're using Copilot in your organization is much more better and safer than where the scenario where each person is using, their ChatGPT or Gemini, and all of this is personal, and the information is being uploaded outside of your organization. That creates an organizational risk, especially if you're dealing with the sensitive data, whether it is data about your beneficiaries in the nonprofit sector or data about your financials within the corporate and commercial sector. You may want to have all this information within your particular organization. I'd want to skip into something different, and probably before I do that, Brandon, is there any item that we might want to look at that relates to Copilot Chat and Copilot Premium that I may need to highlight further?
I think you've mentioned everything.
Aha, fantastic. So the next bit that I'd want to just look at now, I've shown you what Copilot more or less looks like, and what are the areas that that could be of use. And I think we're asking that particular question, and just probably to go back to that particular poll. Let me just see how we responded on the chat. we said IT engineering as well as sales and the customer-facing teams. Yes, definitely 100%. That those are right on the spot. But I'd want to also highlight other use cases. So within most organizations, you'd have your team that is either involved in sales, if you're commercial. If you're non-profit, then this would be the team that deals with your donors. You have the team that also handles your marketing. Then you have finance. You will have the team that does customer service. So in the nonprofit sector, you'd see this as a team that handles your projects and engages with the team on the ground. You have the team that handles legal. You have the team that goes into your HR and of course within IT. And within all these particular aspects, Copilot can be actually used in all the various use cases. So just to highlight the core is that all of us have universal tasks. You're doing research or you're generating some report or something like that. Those are universal. But in the specific use cases, some of the items that you might want to look at involve, for example, if you're in the sales team, how do you do lead generation? How do you do negotiations and preparation for closing? If you're in the marketing team, then there's a demand generation or content creation, or even coming up with a schedule for how do you do releases. You might also, if you already have information about how well your organization is doing, you can get to see predictive analytics about, how will it look next, or what can we, prepare for, considering that right now, there's a state of the global affairs. Then what should we be looking at, and how should we position ourselves as an organization? In the customer service aspect, then you might want to look at self-help, where you receive a call from a customer, and using information that is internal, Copilot is able to assist you with your problem resolution. Then, of course, within legal, whether you're looking at the contracting or you're looking at various things around, you're preparing for litigation, or things to do with the intellectual property, then this Copilot can come in very handy in terms of doing whether it is the research, or even in how do you position yourself, and what are the key things that you need to include in your privacy policy, for example, to meet the GDPR requirement, as well as the requirement for Kenya data protection if you're in Kenya. On the HR side, what are the things that you can do with the employee engagement? How do you handle compensation and benefits? What are other organizations doing when it comes to learning and development? And this kind of research, but also being able to use internal information to determine how well your organization is structured and how this should be organized. Then HR as a core function can also benefit with the Copilot. The other aspect is around finance. Then being able to use agents to do your procurement, procure to pay, or being able to do your analysis, or using Copilot to just understand what are the aspects of tax and treasury, within your particular or the countries that you operate in. Then finance can also benefit with the Copilot. And another use case, I think we all said that IT can benefit from this 100%. I think that one we are definitely very familiar with that particular process. So within Copilot, and something that you might want to consider is that you are able to actually manage your security and the governance, so that you do not have information leaking out of your organization, or somebody within a team that is not authorized getting access to a particular, asking questions to the AI tool, and then, it responds positively with that information. Or another aspect is looking at things to do with the licensing and management of who gets what kind of access. And I think when we're asking who would benefit, then most likely it gives us the indication that when you're procuring the Microsoft 365 Copilot Premium, most likely it is going to your sales and your IT teams, but you might also want to consider your executive teams. You might also want to consider HR. You might also want to consider various other teams that would benefit from this. And then as an organization, how well are you actually measuring you're procuring this $30 per user per month license. How well is this being adopted across the organization? And do you need to, for example, do more training? For the Copilot, the one that comes pre-bundled with your Microsoft 365, the free one, is it in use effectively? Do you want to train people on how to do better prompts and such particular use cases? Then there is tools within the Microsoft ecosystem that assist in measurement and reporting on the usage of Copilot. So how we've seen the AI adoption journey in most organizations, it's first we look at individual productivity, where you start, using Copilot in just asking basic questions, helping you in saving time to find information. And then there's the other aspect which we are talking about around team and functional workflows. So let's say in the case that I was talking about, where you have vendor invoices that come in, and you need to make sure that there are certain processes that are followed, then AI can assist you with that particular process coming in from an agent perspective, but also from making sure that certain processes within your organization actually get done. And this is where, if you're a project team that is doing research together, then we are able to use these tools or the notebooks and the pages to be able to do the research along with other team members. But the other key area that we see is where now the organization adopts AI across the entire organization, meaning we've set up agents such as in our use case where you have a proposal preparation tool, and everybody within the organization, we have various teams that work with many different technologies. We need all proposals to meet a certain threshold. So preparation of these, review, and also the submission process, that gets handled, and that's where you roll out capabilities across your entire organization. And this is how we see the AI adoption journey. So while I'm there, I'd want to quickly pause and just see if there are any questions, but also just bring up a quick poll just to get an idea of where we stand. Just give me a second. Yeah, so across your organization, what would you say has been the biggest challenge when it comes to Copilot adoption? Is it lack of clear use cases for our teams, understanding what are the capabilities? Is it engagement, that you procured these licenses and not everybody is using the capabilities? Or the difficulty in measuring, and determining what is the return on investment that we are buying or we are paying for this particular set of licenses? Are we actually utilizing, or the leadership buy-in in terms of understanding what is the benefit of us investing in this particular tool? So I don't know whether there's any, let me see, lack of clear use cases. Fantastic. It seems that is one of the biggest challenges, but also the low user engagement after initial rollout. I also see getting the leadership buy-in for investment. Interesting use cases. As probably we are all submitting on this, I'd want to highlight this particular slide that more or less says that you can leverage business value to in many different scenarios, especially when you're trying to determine who should get the Copilot premium license. In most organizations, and the ones that we also work with, we have a scenario where, if it's an organization that is 1,000 or 10,000 users, we only procure, for example, for 10 users. And you want to make sure that you are giving the license to the team that will actually have the highest benefit from this particular set of licenses. So to get to see this, then this is a quick chart that can help you to make decisions about who should be upgraded to Copilot Premium and who should just can use the Copilot, the one that comes as part pre-bundled with Microsoft 365. And when you're looking at adoption, when you're looking at determining what are the benefits of Copilot and how do we get to roll this out, then there are certain tools that Microsoft already provide that can be able to assist you to make decisions about how well Copilot is in use within your organization. So the first one is around admin center, where you have the administration center that can show you who are the users within your organization that are using Copilot well, how well, and gives you percentages, in terms of usage. Then you have the Copilot dashboard, and I'll get to highlight something quick on this that shows